There we are, live on Instagram. And let us find Ruth. Good morning, everyone. There we go. Settling in with my coffee. There we go. Inviting Ruth.
Good
Yay! Good
morning,
morning, Ruth.
Pamela.
How are you?
I'm feeling I'm feeling very, very energetic right now and very excited to be here and to be a part of this natural unfolding conversation.
Thank you so much. Ruth, I must say, to be in your presence is this energizing and simultaneously energizing and peaceful feeling, which I'm sure is something that you've
Thank you.
cultivated. I mean, have you always had that kind of feedback, or is that something you've cultivated over time?
I have cultivated it. It takes each moment really to show up in presence and peace. And I have my own practice of daily meditation and of retreats. So it is quite the practice that I've cultivated.
And what can you share? Like, when did you realize that those were the tools for you to have in your practice?
That's a great question. I had quite the troubled and challenging time growing up. Um, And so there's a lot of dysfunction, a lot of destructive behavior. And I was going down this path that was not really serving me. And so when I kind of hit that rock bottom, what I felt like was rock bottom, I realized that I wanted change. I wanted to live a life that was meaningful and fulfilling. And I heard this tiny inkling, this desire to really help others and to be kind and loving to others. But it was so stuffed down by all of this dysfunction. And so, with that commitment and that desire, I started to really look inwards to see what was really going on underneath the surface of all this anger and sadness, and what kind of tools and habit patterns could I employ to really change my life to be of service to others and to live a peaceful, happy life. And so I stumbled upon Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, and that that was one of the greatest gifts that I received was the wisdom of that book, and it invited me to be present in my life. It showed me that now is really all that we have, and it also helped me to realize like where thoughts were really what was causing my pain and suffering, and so to recognize all those
Oh,
truths.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting to me because oftentimes when I'm experiencing pain and suffering, it feels like it's happening to me. That my first thought is not, oh, I want to be of service to others. So that's fascinating. And when you were thinking of the like, I want to be of service to others, but I don't maybe have the capacity right now. Did you know what that would look like?
I had no idea. It was really stepping into the unknown and just letting go of
Mm.
the life that I didn't want in service to opening to the life that I did want, not knowing what that would look like.
It's fascinating to me, Ruth. It's such a journey that you're sharing, and I imagine a lot of us can relate to it. I read a definition of authenticity or authentic last night, I think by the Psychology Today, and it was to live in accordance to one's values. And first, we have to know what those values are. So that process of discovering yourself. And so when you read Eckhart Tolle's book and you began to cultivate a practice of meditation, what happened? What changed? What changed?
That's a great question. I really started seeing things
Mm.
through other senses. I had spent so much time focused on thoughts and the mind, and it was just like this really constricting box that I was kept inside. And so exploring life through senses, it really opened up my world. It was like shifting a lens to widen. And within that, there's all this space that's created. There's space for possibility, there's space to be calm, to soften, to really examine things, to let go of habits and patterns, and to turn inwards to see what is it that I value? Who am I? And all these
Mm,
questions.
mm. I put myself in that spot and I think, oh, that could be a little bit scary too. Like you said, like to give up the life that you knew you didn't want, but but not knowing what comes next. What gave you the strength to continue to give up and be willing to not know?
Hmm. I think seeing like sages and teachers like Eckhart Tolle who have gone through that past before. He talks about in his like early 30s of wanting to end his life, and so in those moments there's like this resonance of, oh, other people have walked this path before, and so if they can do it, I can do it. And really, here's the book to do it. And so, even though there was this huge unknown about what my personal journey would look like, I drew inspiration from the wisdom and the support of
Yeah.
others. And so that in combination with just that inner drive to really to grow and to seek challenges in order to grow was there, and my voice for that was always clear, even though it might have been really quiet. It was always
Mm,
there.
that inner voice. And you also mentioned that retreats are a part of your practice. And so, first of all, what do you mean by retreat?
Hmm. That's a great question because that word I often use quite a bit. And so when I talk about retreats, I a lot like the focus is dry, like letting go and kind of putting on a light
Mm,
pause my to-do list and any things that aren't really necessary. So conversations, maybe checking emails, and really going inwards. And through that inward reflection, I spend time connecting more deeply to myself. I create space to listen to what's going on, like a kind and
mm,
caring friend. Like, what's happening? Are there some challenges? Are there some things, some needs and desires, some celebrations, lessons that are integrating? And I also find rest a key part of my retreat. So I will allow myself to nap and to lay down and to stretch in these
oh,
retreats.
wow.
And it's all of service to really taking care
Yeah.
of myself.
On a holistic level, it sounds like there's like a physical, an emotional, spiritual, and a mental resting. Mm. And what was it like to uh, like let other people know that this is what you were up to? Because retreats, I mean, how often do you do these retreats? Hmm.
I would say once a month, but this will be about my fifth or sixth retreat.
Beautiful. And what was it like to engage others in, like, I'm not going to be responding to phone calls for a day or two, or uh, don't expect a response to your email. Do you put an out of office on? Like, what does it like look like to have it work in your life?
Yeah, yeah. I think the biggest thing is committing to myself to set those things aside and to have that strong determination to leave the devices on the side. And I live in an intentional community. Jada, who's joining us, she's
Mhm.
one of my housemates, and I wear a silent sign to inform um, my housemates that I am in retreat, and I'll let them know ahead of time.
Okay. Oh,
Hmm.
that's beautiful. I'm imagining, I just like what I just got present to in your share, Ruth, is that there's so much emphasis in society on the discipline of pushing oneself. So almost like an outreach, not a retreating. And so, if I want to run a 10K, then there's the discipline of, putting the running shoes by my bed and getting up in the morning and doing it, on a regular practice and a schedule. And again, conversations with people about how I've structured my life to put this new routine in place. And it didn't occur to me until right now that similar tools and conversations apply when bringing silence and introspection and mindfulness as a way of being in the world, to really engage others and set them up powerfully to know that that's what you're up to. Wow. I'm really curious about your silent sign now.
Well, you'll get to see it in retreat.
Yay! That's right. So now, not only have you cultivated this practice for yourself, but you're offering it to others. Can you tell me more about what that's like?
Offering
Yeah.
retreats to others. It's so powerful and so magical and it really feels like a collaboration or a co-creation with others, and each person shares an equal part and participation in the retreat. And there's something really beautiful about a group of people coming together with a shared purpose. And I really sense this energetic um, motivation and inspiration that happens in group settings. And it's so beautiful to see people really dropping into the practices and to really, like sit up straight, really listen to what's happening and to go inwards. So it's awesome to hold these retreats and to be a part of
Yeah.
that.
Oh my gosh. I just led an authentic leadership and facilitation training weekend. And as someone who leads group events, there's no way I could plan the synchronicities that occur. And so there were four participants, and they found out on Friday night, the role that they would play throughout the weekend. You know this, you've been to it. And so randomly people volunteer who's going to go first and who will go second and who will go third and fourth. And the choices that they made of what they were going to do when they led had such a beautiful arc to them. I, I couldn't have planned that. I didn't direct them like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. It was just that's how it unfolded. And I'm imagining in your retreats, like it's a beautiful mix of people who come together and it's almost divinely guided.
Yeah, I think when we open up to the mystery, we can leave room for surprise and spontaneity and just life unfolding.
So if I'm coming to this retreat, I'm very, very excited. Is what can people expect? I mean, do I need any experience in silence?
No, not at all. This can be the first time and the last retreat that I had in March. I believe more than half of the participants were new to retreats. So it was really cool to have that mixture. And so there will be a lot of space to simply be and to lightly put on pause the doing and to go inwards. We spend a lot of energy outwards, even talking, conversing, working, um, tasks, and to really bring all of that focus, attention, and energy inwards and to really connect with ourselves and to slow down and to show up for ourselves in whatever arises. It's it's not uncommon to meet challenges and to meet all the range of emotions. We are human, and to meet that with kindness and presence and with an openness to learn, like, what is that hidden insight or gem underneath this
Mm.
experience? There will also be yoga, gentle yoga, and then moving into restorative yoga. So taking care of our body. And we have an hour of lunch and rest. So rest is a key part of retreats for me. So we have lots of props to lay out. Everyone has their own mats. We have zero gravity chairs, and to really honor and allow yourself to rest in deep stillness and
And,
deep
and
silence.
can I nap? Amazing. I
Absolutely.
love naps. Oh, love naps so much. I'm so glad you shared this, Ruth, because I was imagining um like attempting to sit in a meditative pose of some kind for all day would be too much for me. And so hearing you share that there will be some movement, because I know in my own personal process that I do release quite a bit through movement. You know, if I'm shaking or dance parties or gentle yoga or restorative yoga, I love those long, slow, deep poses.
Yeah, and that's a great point because oftentimes people will be like, "Oh, I haven't, this is 6 hours. Am I going to be sitting still?" And no, the longest meditation is 20 minutes. And then we change to movement and then we come back. So there's quite a bit of intention behind the schedule, and it's quite gentle. It is 6 hours, but often people say I could meditate for longer. I've had requests to have multiple day retreats, so I think that that might shed some light in how gentle it is to be in your own
Yeah,
presence.
how gentle it is to be in your own presence. Wow. How will I know that that's where I am?
There's this invitation to trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your inner knowing. And so when you arrive,
Mm,
you'll know.
beautiful, he said. Is there anything else that you find people have questions about or they wonder about before committing to a whole day retreat?
There's also the question of, well, I can do this at my own home through guided meditations, through my own practice, and that is a beautiful practice to do at home. And I also invite people to try it on, to come to this group setting, to leave your home where there might be a lot of like mental attachments, a lot of like temptations to do things, and to drop drop into a space where it is already created and held for you.
Mm.
And there's some kind of instructions and teachings that I've gathered through my own experience and through learning. So I really feel called and excited to share that as a base for certain practices, why certain techniques are offered, and what you might expect, and how to go deeper or pull back based off of what's arising for you. So to be in that real time, real space is different from using a guided meditation at home.
I really believe that. And it's funny because it doesn't, like, at first blush, it's like, yeah, no, I quote unquote should be able to do this by myself. And yet, I was reading not too long ago that the science behind like massages and muscle release, uh, and there's a certain like way that the brain treats the body when we are self-massaging that doesn't allow us to relax because there's a part of our body that is doing the movement, right? Like I'm massaging my shoulder, and so this arm is working and this shoulder is working, and so this shoulder won't relax as much as if I was just laying there and surrendering that someone else was holding the space and doing the treatment. And I imagine it's a very similar thing for the mind. Like if I'm also responsible for setting the context and hitting play on the guided meditation or and making sure that nobody interrupted the space and that I maintained the silence, and what my program was, like what to do next and when to nap and all that jazz. Like if I was responsible for that, then a part of me wouldn't relax. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
I also firmly believe, I mean, you know me so well by now, that as spiritual beings having a human experience, we really are, we belong to each other. There's something magical that happens when we gather. Yeah. Yeah. And so, what are some of the benefits that you've experienced personally and that you've witnessed participants experience?
In the space of stillness and silence, insights can arise, insights about questions we may have, or what are my next steps? Maybe there's a transition that's occurring and there's indecision coming in. So at the core, really, we are whole, like you say, we are whole, complete, and perfect. And what really lights me up is that all the qualities that we're looking for, peace, love, compassion, they're already all part of who we are innately as
Mm.
spiritual beings. And so in this space, we're coming home to that. We're allowing that connection to flow more freely so that we can discover what is really within us and to harvest the fruits of who
Mm.
we are.
Mm. I was sharing with somebody yesterday. They asked, how am I the way that I am? And I said, honestly, like being loving and generous is so much less energy. Like it's so aligned with, and it feels so good. It takes way less energy than being upset and frustrated most of my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this when you say coming home to some of those innate qualities, I feel like a rise in energy. Now I know why when I met you this morning, you're like, I feel energized. And there's a peacefulness about me. I was like, oh yeah, that's it right there. And so, um, what kind of, like, what does the day or the week or the few weeks after a retreat look like for you? Have you noticed a difference from when you weren't doing them to when you do them?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I create a lot of space before and after retreat for myself for integration and to be in that space of presence because I think that that's the foundation of holding space is to live the presence, and through that that's um, the best way I can be in relation with others is through my own practice. And I find that there's just like this gentle excited, lively energy that happens after retreat. And it's not something that's forced. It's just, I feel so alive. I feel in the flow. I feel like there's this ease and this deep connection with myself and all those innate qualities. And so productivity is at a high usually during those times. I feel this flow and this desire to just continue sharing the wisdom, sharing what makes me come
Mm,
alive and passionate.
that's amazing. I know I've I've been in many different meditative spaces, and there's this one that I used to attend, and like the ideas would flow. I had to keep a pen and paper handy. And the desire to like just go act on those ideas and things that were coming through was very strong. But I'm wondering when you say integration, that really resonated with me. I was like, oh yeah, like perhaps not to jump into the doing too quickly now that I've cultivated that grounded being. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
how do I navigate that? I book the time, so I really set aside in my schedule the day after for myself. I don't make any commitments, and I show up in each moment with presence. So I continue that
Mm,
practice that is in retreat, and I integrate it because being in retreat where everything is taken care of for you, you step in, is different from going back to day-to-day living. And so finding those small moments where, oh, mindful walking or mindful eating or even taking a mindful breath, that is integration of the practice to bring that sense of living in each moment into the moments
mm,
as we're doing things.
mm, mm. I hear the word mindful a lot. What do you mean when you say mindful eating, mindful walking? How do you mean mindful?
Yeah, so mindful, there's a few different definitions and ways of seeing it. And one that I like is uh, simply paying attention to whatever's happening in
Mm,
your life in this moment. And paying attention, it can be through any or all of the senses. And so the senses are really like our gateway to contacting presence. And I say simple, yet it's not always
yeah.
easy, right? Our mind likes to take control and take front and center. And so coming back to the moment through other senses is a great
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. I love accessing presence through the senses. I am Taurus though, so I'm told astrologically that I'm uh what's the word? Predisposed to enjoying all things sensual. Oh, Ruth.
Mm.
So the invitation is to join this retreat. When is it happening?
Yeah, it's on Sunday, April 30th, in person at the Cartbridge Eco Wellness
Mm,
Center.
mm. April 30th. I mean, we'll have green grass by then, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And if it's beautiful outside, or even if it's not, I mean, is there an opportunity to be outside?
Definitely. For that hour there, you can rest, nap, you can take a walk in the forest. We have marked trails on 190 acres of land. The trail is about 2 kilometers, I would
Mm,
say. And there's lots of spaces out in nature at Cartbridge, which is one of the reasons why I chose it to transport into nature and to kind of have more space, more physical space, so we can tap into our internal
yeah.
space.
Oh, that's amazing. There is, nature is such a gift. Hmm. Is there anything else by way of an invitation that you would like to share with anyone who's listening?
Yeah. Um, if you're feeling that tug or that pull, or if you're just like so curious about what this retreat might offer you, I invite you to trust your intuition, to take that leap of faith and to see what happens when you get here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, now that I'm putting a few things together and it's like, oh, the slow down to speed up. I've heard that phrase many times. And this, like, this, with this feeling of spring, like, I'm really excited to get out and be social and um, do the things. And it's still new enough into the year that I have that hopefulness, if you will, of all of the plans and intentions and ideas and dreams and goals and visions for how I would curate my life. And this is the perfect time to hit pause and check in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to this, right? Yay.
Yay! I'm really looking forward
Thank
to having
you.
you.
So tickets are available at Authentic Relating Ottawa. arottawa.ca is the website, and I will post a link. And it's all over Authentic Relating Ottawa on Instagram and Facebook as well if you want more information. And Ruth, I would like to ask you a couple of questions. Can you share with us something that we may not know about you already?
Something you may not know about me, family, you probably know, but it's coming up, is that I love sleeping. I love rest and lounging in the
Oh,
sunlight like a cat.
oh, I adore cat energy. Like I, they are the kings and queens of rest. Yeah, that's fantastic. And what would you say is one of your secret superpowers, or maybe not so secret?
Mm, I would say it's curiosity, that curious, open nature to discover and explore and to know on a deep
Mm,
level.
mm, yeah, yeah. And what's something that you really want us to get about you, about who Ruth is?
Mm. That's a great question. I would love for you to know that in many ways, I am so similar to each and every person, and there's a similarity because sometimes I hear like, oh, you're so peaceful, you're so present, and um, which is all true in a sense, and also that I'm similar to you in that you have those qualities as well. And so um, I'm not, I'm special in a way, and I'm also not so special in a way. And so I want to be seen as an equal. And when you look at me, to recognize a part of yourself in whatever you're experiencing.
Mm. I am you and creating me, creating you. It's like seeing ourselves and each other as a reflection. I can really identify with that, Ruth. And I wonder if that's a couple of things. One, there's this shift from um, gurus and experts being quote unquote perfect. And so, the last 100 years, we only looked up to people and we put them on pedestals, right? And so it's like, do as I say and maybe not as I do. And there was this like idolizing about people that we would quote unquote follow. And something I've really thoroughly enjoyed in the last, I would say 2 decades even, is this dismantling of what is perfection. And people can lead, they can be experts in a technique or a field or um, a modality, if you will, and they're human, just like the rest of us. Like I lead events, and I still get nervous. I still have butterflies in my stomach. I was nervous about an Instagram live this morning, and so it's like, is the technology gonna work? Am I gonna figure this out? Like I had the mind was racing. And I did it. And we did it. Here we are. And so there's this acknowledgement piece that we really are all reflections of one another. And it's the commitment that I have to show up and create a space and be of service that allows me to do it anyways.
Whew, I have chills
Thank
hearing you.
you.
Mm.
Ruth, this has been so delicious to spend time with you this morning. Thank
Likewise,
you. Thank you
Pamela.
so much for sharing, and we'll come back again soon. I'd love to. I love these morning chats. It's delightful.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for having this space and for your
You're
presence.
very welcome. Thank you for seeing me. All right, take care, everyone. We'll see you on April 30th in retreat. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.